Yo, this is Kendrick Sampson, actor, activist, co-founder of Bill Power. Just gonna ask a few questions. Cool?
Okay.
All right, first off, just to kick it off, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Lena Melendez, and I'm a tenant leader in my building in Washington Heights. It's mostly Latino immigrant neighborhood. I live in a pre-war building. It's mostly long-time, low-income tenants, and many of my neighbors have seen me grow up.
And how has the coronavirus affected your living situation?
As an Uber driver, there was such a slowdown of work that it was costing me money to work. But I still haven't gotten a single unemployment check. You know, we're basically living on credit cards right now, and that's not going to last for much longer.
Why is your building on rent strike?
We've joined the millions of New Yorkers who cannot pay their rent through no fault of their own. We were in a housing crisis before the pandemic. This crisis has pulled back the curtain on the serious problems like the enormous income wealth gap and our corrupt political class and the vulnerability of renters who are one major life event away from eviction. And this is a major life event for everyone. I know of 3 people in my building who they're not going to get an unemployment check, they're not going to get a stimulus check, and they're not going to get HRA, Human Resources benefits, or food stamps, or Medicaid. I realize these are people that are really in trouble. They had kids, 5 mouths to feed, bills coming in, a total train wreck, and a heartbreak, because these are people I know, I see them every day. It got me to thinking, whoa, there are pockets of people that the mayor and the governor have not thought about. They immediately bailed out the real estate industry. They immediately gave a moratorium on mortgages.
And how did your building get organized to rent strike?
I had already had some telephone numbers and I had already had relationships with my neighbors. So it made it a little bit easier, but it took massive amounts of time, patience, and love for your neighbor and love for your community, knowing that this is a small step towards creating solidarity, creating a renter base that is organized. And so I called people. Hi, how are you? Are you okay? Are you sick? Are you in need of food? I had a list of pantries. You know, it doesn't have to be 100% of the people in your building on rent strike. It only takes a third of the people. Half is even better, but if you get a third, they'll take notice.
Can you tell us about some of the challenges you faced while organizing together?
Before I was an Uber driver, I was a social worker. So when I think about the community that I live in, mostly immigrants, I have spoken to people about their self-worth, because really it's about how much you believe you have the right to demand a rent cancellation.
How'd your landlord respond when they heard you were striking?
The landlord responded by for April's rent, he put in the envelope with the statement a leaflet, a flyer with instructions on how to pay your rent online. So basically the message was, pay your rent. Like, we don't care.
What do you say to neighbors who can still pay rent?
I tell them, won't you please join the rent strike? Because today it's your neighbor, tomorrow it may be you. We have to stick together. But put your money, set it aside, but withhold the money to prove a point.
What do you say to neighbors who are afraid of landlord retaliation or getting evicted?
It's a slight possibility, but if we don't risk something, then we gain nothing. If we don't fight back, then we lose so much. When we fight, we win.
How does your rent strike link to the broader campaign to cancel rent during this crisis?
If my building hangs a banner and people take notice and they go, oh, they're having a rent strike, it's the one voice singing in the darkness that lights the next candle and lights the next candle. And before you know it, we have a raging wildfire in New York that can't be stopped.
If you could say one thing to Governor Cuomo right now, what would it be?
There are so many things that I would like to tell Cuomo. Cuomo, you have failed to act on behalf of tenants. The problem really is the majority of the donor base for our politicians are landlords and special interest groups that are ultra rich. But the bottom line is it doesn't matter if they have all the money in the world if they don't have the votes. We need to recognize that we have power. We have tenant power. We are in the majority. There are more tenants than there are landlords. And we have power. That's powerful.